All right, so guys, thank you all for joining us for this event for the Spring Summer 2022 Internship Prep featuring one of our great company partners, Spring Studios, actually Olivier, Business Development Director of Spring Studios. I'm going to run you through the main kind of like steps of the program, of the programming of the event, just so that you guys know. First off, we're super excited to have all of you here, and it's a great turnout. I'm seeing about 50 people already here, which is awesome. So glad to have you all here. We're going to talk through this event. It's going to be divided in 3 parts. So first of all, it's going to be an insider company talk, hearing about Spring Studios, who they are, what they're doing, the company culture, and we'll have the possibility of asking Olivier, who's here today with us, some questions. I'll ask you guys to pop in your questions in the chat, and then I'll be reading through all of them if I can, or selected if we have so many of them, so that you guys can hear from Olivier. So that's going to be the first part of the program. Then the second part is going to be for us to introduce the ARTBOUND Initiative Program, introducing basically kind of the rundown of our program, how to apply, and the internships that we offer. And then the last part is going to be a Q&A with our former participants. I see here actually that we have a lot of our alumni who are here, which is awesome. So yourself, for example, who is here, and Michaela, who will be joining in, and then whoever else wants to join in, and we'll just finish up with a Q&A. So I'll go ahead right up and start by introducing Olivier Brzezinski. So Olivier Brzezinski is the Biz Dev Director of Spring Studios. I'm sure perhaps some of you don't really know what a Biz Dev Director does. So maybe Olivier, you'll tell us a little bit more about that. Olivier is originally from France. He studied all over the place, I believe in Singapore and Montreal, started his career in private equity and then moved on towards development. And then Olivier, you've been with Spring for the past 6 years, right?
Yeah, since 2015, yeah.
Since 2016. So I guess I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Olivier, and do you want to go ahead and share yours and start, telling us a little bit more about Spring?
Yeah, I can start by talking about my background, and after I can show you a quick presentation of Spring so you can understand the ecosystem, because it's kind of a strange dinosaur. It's a strange animal, and you will see there's different part of the business. So I moved to New York in 2015 to take care of the development of Spring Studios in New York. And Spring Studios started actually in the 90s. It was a creative agency and a photo shoot studio in London. And after years and working with different clients, they decided to open the little sister in New York. That was actually the big sister. And now we have also Milan. So we opened in Milan 3 years ago. So for my background, I used to work in private equity, and after I went for different venture, and I had this great opportunity to come to New York, a city that I used to know, but not as well as I know now. And I was really excited to have this opportunity moving from Europe. And as Laura said, I spent a couple of months, almost a year in Singapore. I went to SMU there. If there's any students from SMU, and I did part of my study in Montreal, Canada. And I was really excited to go to New York. At the beginning, it was just for a couple of months, and step by step, I discovered an amazing ecosystem, an amazing project, and amazing people, talented people that were coming from all over the world, and mainly because the culture of the company was coming from Europe and moving into New York. You usually come with people from all over the world because you try to attract the kind of the best talent. So I moved to New York, and I started this adventure, and we created the agency. The agency was already there, but we moved into the main building, and I will explain you a little bit more about the business. Maybe I can switch to the deck so you can get a better understanding of what we are and what we're doing. I'm just going to share. You can tell me. I think you see it well. So, oh, sorry. have a little.
We see it well on our end.
You see it? What do you see? 1 second.
Yeah, we saw it for a second and then it came out.
Yeah, because I was not able to. Here we are. You see it, yeah?
Yeah, we can see it.
So yeah, kind of the story. So I told you it was created in the 90s in London. We started building the New York building. So it's an interesting business model. The business started with a creative agency and a photo shoot studio in London. And step by step, we went into events and experiential. So when we opened in New York, we took over a building, and after 4 years of construction, we opened one of the largest photo shoot and event space in New York in 2015. And we built around one main key event that was the Tribeca Film Festival that started right after 9/11 and was led by Robert De Niro. And the idea was to kind of reboost the entire neighborhood of Lower Manhattan and Tribeca. So we use this as a main pillar, and we work with the Tribeca Film Festival to create kind of a cultural space in New York. So we opened in 2015. It was the end of 2014, beginning of 15. We started with the Tribeca Film Festival, and we started working with some art fairs too. In 2016, we developed the events business and the agency business, and we become the home of the New York Fashion Week. And finally, we moved and opened in Milan. And in 2017, we opened a new part of the business, and I will go back to the different side of the business, but we opened also a membership club. So this is kind of an overview of our key clients. So the creative agency has the main focus on fashion, beauty, and lifestyle brands. And we also started to work more with hospitality brand. Like you see, Waldorf Astoria is one of our clients, and we work on the rebranding and the new strategy for the group and for the hotel. So I was telling you, a Spring Studio, it's a strange animal because it's not only a creative agency. That's what you usually have. It's a place where we kind of create culture. So the idea was to combine all the branding, the positioning of a brand with also the in-person activations. So we build some venues where we host shoots for brands, but we also host our creative agents in-house. But most of our business, we host events and experiential. So this is just to give you an overview of our venue. So it started with London, New York in 2014, Milan opened in 2017, and LA opened in 2019. So this is kind of our 4 key pillars to give you just an overview of our business line. So we have Spring Creative. So it works as really as a creative agency production. So think about advertising, campaign, all the thing that you see on YouTube or Instagram. That's kind of the thing we're producing also for our clients. The studio part is we're using our spaces, and mainly the one in New York. It's almost 120,000 square feet. So in square meters, it's around 11,000 square meters of spaces where we host the main events in New York. And the last part is more about our community that we created around the agency and the studios, is Spring Place, the membership club. And the membership club started in 2016 when we realized that a lot of our clients are traveling from all over the world, and they were looking to have a house in New York, a place where they can meet, do business, and stay kind of in a creative community. So we extended and we built this membership club that it's part of the building, and it's really like the core of the life inside the building. And finally, we extended this to LA, as most of our US clients were also based in LA, entertainment, production agencies, media. A lot of them are based in LA. So we built this extension in LA, and Milan is coming soon, and also London, and that's kind of the next step for 2022 and 2023 as the community is expanding. So just wanted to give you a quick overview of Spring Creative, kind of our work and our vision. So these are our key capabilities in terms of on the creative side. So branding content, we create experiences for brands. We also work with brands to create experiences inside their stores. Campaign, that's kind of part of the 360 services that we're offering to our clients. Our added real, there's kind of a couple of example. Our real added value is that we're able to, when we talk to a client and we work through an entire campaign, we're able to also offer them photo shoot studios in New York or London. We can do live stream. So it's with one point of contact, we're able to kind of go through the entire scope of services that they need. And it goes up to experiences. So it could be a product launch. It could be a dinner for the top clients. And this kind of stay through the strategy that we implementing with them. That's just to give you some example, kind of experiences that we realize. And one of the good example is, for example, MasterCard. We work with them and we teach them an entire culinary program. And the idea was to implement this in New York. The entire idea of the priceless experience was to bring food from all over the world to New York for people that are not big travelers. And so we brought a restaurant from Zanzibar and we built the restaurant in one of our space. We brought a restaurant from Japan. We brought the entire team back to New York. They stayed there for 3 months. And the last one was a restaurant, cocktail bar from London. So this is kind of activation that we build for MasterCard as part of their strategy going into the priceless universe. Some commerce. On the production side is video, stills, e-commerce, documentary, and this is also maybe done for the brands. So this is kind of really exciting part and if you go on our Instagram, you can see some example of this, and also on our YouTube. But we do a lot of videos and documentaries for our brands, which is a really cool part of the job. And our main business in New York is, as we're lucky to have this beautiful building, is we one of the largest event space and studios, photo shoot studios in New York. So we able to work with the brands from all over the world, fashion, beauty, commerce, and tech. I mean, we able to like really go through the entire scope of clients, and it's pretty exciting. So we have our large studio, we help on production, and we also work on experiential. This is just an example of our partner, Tribeca Film Festival, Independent Art Fair, and we're working with a couple of other. These are the key one, but all over the year, we also build some experiences with a nonprofit organization. We just restarted doing some ballets performances in our studios, and also we're working on a classic music concert hosted by young talent coming from China. So this is a beginning of 2022. So this is a project that we're building with a foundation, a nonprofit, and this is kind of part of the the cultural thing that we're doing between events, between clients' events.
Olivier,
Just this to give you an overview. Yeah.
Olivier, quick question. So you guys are reopening events right now, although like despite COVID and everything, like it's starting back?
Yeah, so it started actually. So we never closed the studios. We opened back, the studios in July 2022 for shoots because all the brands needed a lot of content. So we were almost fully booked for like a year with shoots. And we see a return of events since last June. We hosted for the first event in New York in person with the Tribeca Film Festival in June 2021.
Nice.
And after it leads to the big premiere of the remake of Gossip Girl that happened end of June, and that's kind of kicked out our the return of events in New York. We had a couple of events in July, August, and the return also of the New York Fashion Week that was pretty successful beginning of September. With almost 45 events in 5 days.
Wow.
With a couple of events on the roof, in person, showrooms, parties, activation, respecting a strict protocol, working with the city, the governor's office, and the CDC. So we didn't have any issues. And the New York Fashion Week opened to the Art Week that was happening in New York too. September was extremely busy. We had the Art Week. The UN started right after. That's not really for us because it's more Midtown, so we're not really involved. But you had all the that was the September was pretty intense.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to be with us despite this crazy past month.
Oh, thank you. No, it's great, and we always, I mean, we're really lucky to be an international team, so we're always looking for talents coming from everywhere, because we think that this is bringing kind of creativity together, and that's kind of our targets. It's to bring people together, so that's kind of our main line.
So Olivier, I'm having already a bunch of questions coming in, but I don't know how much like I'm cutting your press short, but I also know that some people are starting to ask questions, and I think I have also a lot of questions about, company culture and just like people coming in, because I think a lot of our people, first of all, thanks for like running through, the really kind of like what Spring is. It feels like it's such like, as you said, like such a unique business, right? Having both the studios, the production, the creative agency, the membership. Like I've been fortunate to go a bunch of times at Spring, and went to Spring Place as well, which is an amazing co-working space, the most glamorous co-working space that you'll ever find, I guess, pretty much in the city. So I'd love to hear a bit more about like, what are you guys currently looking for in terms of talents? Because I know you guys are rapidly growing. Obviously you're opening, Milan now, and like so many things happening with COVID finishing. Like where do you guys stand in terms of like your hiring process? What type of talents are you looking for right now? I'm sure as like the business director, you're probably also on the lookout of, about all of this. So I think a lot of people would like to hear a bit from you on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, and as you say, it's always a little bit hard to pitch Spring because there's a different pillar in the business, and it's not just like it's not just easy to explain in one sentence what are we exactly doing, and it's a business that grew after like starting from a creative agency and after expanding organically. Through opportunities that were coming from clients inside clients, so like after like the need, so we were growing the business after this. So the way we're working is depending of the pillar, we're looking different profiles, and most of our team it's a mix of people coming from Europe, US, even in New York, Asia, Africa. So it's a combination of different talents, different paths. For mainly for the creative agency, we're looking for young designer, young creatives, because that's the key. That's the key for creative agency. I mean, if you have, we have a really, for example, I'm going to speak for New York, but we have a new amazing executive creative director. He's really young. He used to work with us a couple of years ago. He moved to London. He came back because he was really excited to come back to New York. He's building kind of a new team because we had to scale down a little bit during COVID. I mean, it was the reality. We had to scale down the team. We had no events, so this means no production, no experiential. So now since May, actually, we growing step by step. And on the creative agency, there's a real need of young talent in terms of like design, design execution, branding. That's really important. On the production side, we're working with a core team in New York, and mostly we're working with freelancers based on depending of the project.
Okay.
So that's not really where we looking for young talent. And on the events and studio side, we're looking to someone that is interested to first, it's a really entrepreneurial way of doing business. It's a pretty intense business, small team, really entrepreneurial, solution oriented, people that have also being creative also in a way that you have to find solution. We also doing all our marketing internally. So it's a combination of business and marketing and also creative mindset. So we're looking for some people that wants also to work with the big brands, facing this and discussing with these big brands, seeing what they're doing and helping on the experiential side.
On the client as well and everything. Somebody's asking about opportunities for photography. Like, do you guys ever have, whether it's junior or senior, or do you ever have people that are coming in photography for spring, like on the shoots, for example?
So what we have, so usually for the shoots, we're working with outside production agencies, and usually the brands are choosing the photographer, or when it's us shooting for a client, we usually bring a photographer. What we put in place on the studio side is, as we have a shoots team that it's handling all the shoot that it's in the building, and we're talking about hundreds of shoots almost every month. We hiring young photographers that want to learn more about how to run the studios, how to run equipment, and to learn more about all the equipment that you have, being on site with the clients, like famous photographers, and that's what we call them, studio assistants. Right. And they usually start as a studio's assistant, and after they can evolve in the company as a studio director or EQ, and it's usually helping them to pursue their career. And to help all our staff, if they have like personal projects, we offer them, they can take the studios for free multiple times per year if they want to work on the project, a personal project, and that's part of kind of the incentive for our staff, right, to be able to work on their own projects.
It's very cool that you guys are rewarding a lot of entrepreneurship and kind of people that are unicorns, right? I think that's a term that's used a lot in recruitment right now, and by recruiters is those unicorns, people that have a lot of different skills but also can do everything else, right? That can be troubleshooting and everything. There's somebody actually that's asking in the question, maybe it's about your journey, who's asking how did you find the environment in New York and the new dynamics and opportunities that it gave you compared to, Niels is mentioning London, but I'm guessing compared to Europe, right? Having been, in Europe before, what was the main kind of difference for you, finding here in New York with spring as opposed to back in Europe?
Yeah, so I don't really know about London because I've never spent just a couple of days. So I don't know about the culture, but the thing I discovered, and I was living also in Paris and Milan, is that New York is really giving a chance to young talents, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Is if you really are interested and willing to learn and have talent and a hard worker, you can succeed. And the path to succeed is, I think, faster than in over cities. I mean in Europe. In this way, it's you can easily jump over the different steps, and it's just a city that it's going everything's going pretty fast.
Pretty fast, yeah.
Things are going fast in the good way and in the bad way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a city of excess. So everything is dramatic one day, and now everything is fine again. You know what I mean?
New York City.
So
New York City.
but it's a city of, really, it's a city of opportunities. And what we see is that a lot of business is happening in New York, and also in terms of, and I'm going to say about shoots, for example, a lot of people said in COVID that New York is dead for shoots, because people are going to shoot on location, or they're going to go somewhere else. And LA was also booming. But what we see is that it's even bigger than before, because most of the brands, they have their headquarters in New York. And it's also easier. It's an easy access from people that are on the West Coast or Asia, and also people from Europe. So it's kind of central. Actually what we see is that the shoots business is actually booming in New York.
So
production and shoots. Same for the cinema. Like a lot of TV show. It's kind of crazy. You walk in New York in the last 2-3 months, you have movie set and TV sets everywhere.
I love that. So to be respectful of timing, I know that we need to move forward soon. Let me just shoot you 2 short questions, because there were so many questions, guys. I'm so sorry that we're not able to get to everyone.
Sorry, I see you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Olivier? Okay, cool. Yeah. So I was saying, like, I'm gonna try to see, like, we're gonna compile all your questions, guys, and we'll send an email afterwards. Maybe we'll get Olivier to answer some of them. But 2 last questions that I wanted to ask you. One, somebody's asking, since a lot of like the staff that you're getting with Spring are freelancers, how do you find those people? How do you find people to work with? And I think that's a great question. And somebody's asking also about internships in London. How do you go towards applying with that? Actually, we don't have a program in London anymore, so we wouldn't be able to help you guys with this, which is why I'm asking the question to Olivier. So first question is, how do you find your talents freelance? And then, what's the best way to be applying for London internships, for example?
For freelance, so is usually we work with a batch of freelancer that we know and that we used to work with. We always work through recommendations, and that's usually the way it works. But people can also send us an email if they want to freelance. We usually look at all the opportunities, because there's a lot of demand in the last month. A lot of people also left the cities, so there's kind of a renewal of our freelance pool. So feel free to send us an email. You can send an email to I think it's New York HR, but I can send you the link, the email. Sorry.
And somebody asked also about your press. So maybe, Olivier, if you don't mind, afterwards, if you can send it, is it possible to share the press afterwards by email to everybody?
Yeah, I can send the press, and I can send you kind of the real going through. It's a little bit long, so that's why I didn't show you, but it goes you through all the projects and kind of the business that we're doing.
Perfect. And so London, same thing, right? If somebody wanted to apply for London for an internship, like, they would probably need to go towards like the HR, London HR, and just kind of submit their applications.
Yes. Yes. I mean, London is looking for interns. I'm not sure now, but they usually have an intern program too.
That's good to hear.
We had some.
Olivier, thank you so much for like coming through, and I'm gonna gather more like information from you as well and send it to everybody afterwards, because we have everybody's email in terms of their registration, so we'll be able to like send that to everyone. And really appreciate your time. I know that things are crazy busy for you, and you know, it's awesome to have you even for like 30 minutes or so and kind of talk to us about like kind of what's going on at Spring, what you guys are looking for. I'm sure it's very valuable, and it's not every day for us to like have somebody at your level chat with us, you know, about the reality of the business.
Thank you. And if I can answer to other question, I will be happy to. And I mean, we looking to we actually growing, so we hope we can find some talents all around the world.
For sure. And, you know, we work closely with Olivier and with the team at Spring, and, you know, for the program to kind of like send them pre-selected, also, you know, intern profiles. We've sent them 2 great interns in the past, both on the production and actually also on the agency side, that were both very successful. So I'll tell you guys also a little bit more about the program. Olivier, if you need to go towards meetings, like I'll let you run off. If you want to hang out here, by all means, stay with us, but I'm pretty sure that you probably have other things to kind of run off through before I'm going to continue on with the programming on my end.
Thank you so much.
Talk soon, Olivier. Thank you. I'll go back to sharing my screen. All right, guys, let me see. Let me just make sure that I'm sharing my screen correctly, and let me talk. I'll answer also some of your questions about Spring as well. Let me just make sure that I'm seeing what I'm doing here, because for some reason I am not able to find that. Here it is. Can you guys see my screen? Because I'm not seeing it for some reason. Are you able to?
Not yet.
No, we can't see it.
You're not seeing it? One sec. Give me a second. I'm just gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna go on my Google. Let me remove this. Here it is. Oh, that's why. All right, guys, my bad. I'm back on it. Give me 1 second. First of all, thank you all for your questions. They were like super good, and you know, sorry that we're not able to get to all of them. Now we're going to continue the Q&A, so keep asking your questions and we'll introduce them. So basically, we are here as well to talk to you guys about ARTBOUND Initiative. So Spring Studios, we invited them because Spring is a close partner of ours. So we work with companies like that in New York, in different places, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about our program, how it works, and kind of like, you know, the rundown. I've also invited some of our alumni to join us so that, you know, you can hear from them as well, and we can open up to questions after that, and like really go, if you guys want to unmute or type in the chat, we can keep it very casual. So just to give you some background, ARTBOUND Initiative is a global internship program that is focused in the creative industry. The concept here, and the reason why we launched, is because all those fields are very much about who you know, right? Olivier was telling about, you know, their network, for example, of freelancers. It is a lot about connections and who you might have met and who you might connect with, so that you can get those types of opportunities. So we know that it's not easy for many students, specifically, you know, if you're an international student or if you're just starting and you don't have maybe family in the business or things like that, it's even harder to get to. So we have different types of basically programs and destinations, you know, that we offer. We offer internships in New York as part of our local program. If you are already in the US, if you're of course not in the US, it would be considered our international program. We've got opportunities as well in Berlin. We used to have London, but unfortunately we closed it because of COVID and Brexit. Things became a little bit too crazy for us over there, so we had to close it, but we're still in Berlin in Europe. And then we also have opportunities in Australia, in Melbourne, Sydney, and also in Hong Kong. The last thing that we've launched recently is obviously a virtual program as well. Since COVID, everything is digital now. I'm sure that Spring as well in some ways is working on a hybrid model. Everybody now is working hybrid. So the virtual program also became super cool because you can be interning pretty much, you know, from everywhere and anywhere. So in terms of the types of internships that we offer, we've got a lot of different types of internships within the creative fields. So we've got stuff in comm, advertising, things in like marketing, PR, events. So for example, at Spring Studios, we had an intern that was working, Natasha, her name was, she was working specifically on like marketing, PR, biz dev, to really help that side of the business. So we have also things that are a little bit more business oriented, but still in the creative fields. And then we have a lot of opportunities in design. So Olivier was mentioning, for example, right now, their creative agencies, they're looking for a lot of designers. So we have a lot of opportunities in design, not only with Spring, but with other places, anything regarding motion, digital, art direction, web, experiential design. And then we have opportunities in the entertainment field. So production, whether it's like film, TV, theater, technical aspects as well, VFX, script. And then of course, as our name indicates it, we've got stuff in visual arts, fine arts, photography, exhibition, working for galleries. So in terms of the program, just a few key facts. You can intern from 3 to 6 months, basically. It's up to you. So we have students that are doing that, for example, during their fall semester part-time. So it's 4 months. Some of them are doing it during their spring semester. It's five months. Some of them want to do it during the summer break full-time. So it's very flexible. We can also work with your faculty members basically to offer academic credit. And then one thing to note down, if you guys are thinking about the local program, I know a lot of you guys are in the US. We might have some people from Europe. We might have some people from Asia. For those who are currently in the US and who might be interested in our New York program for the spring, just a heads up, you need to be applying soon because our deadline is going to be on October 25. If you want to do an internship abroad this summer, so I know it's far away, but actually it's not that far, you guys will need to submit your application ASAP. We have a first deadline that will come in November and then afterwards in December, because it's going to be a busy summer for everyone. We actually, everybody wants to travel now that COVID is kind of, we're finally seeing a little bit the end of the tunnel for some places. So a lot of people will be applying. So make sure that if you want to do it, you should apply early. So I'll run you through for 5 minutes, kind of the main sequence of events. And then I want to break it to a full Q&A as well with Yosel and Michaela, who I see are both here. But let me run you through really quickly first what the program kind of does. So the first step, if you want to be applying, is to actually go on our website. You will be able to see an application page there where you'll have an application form, and will require from you to have your resume, your portfolio if you're creative, and 2 letters of recommendations, as well as some essays. You'll have an interview with us as well afterwards, and then we will let you know if we're able to move forward with your application and select you into the program. So if you do get in, the first step of the program, and actually it's going to be a step all along, is going to be the coaching. That's probably one of the main part of the program. We have career workshops, resume review, portfolio reviews. I know we have a lot of our alumni here who might have not seen that, so I just want to show them as well. We actually launched an entire platform online where you'll basically be going through different missions and different steps of like defining your dream job and talking to a career coach about that, building your action plan of like what needs to happen for your career, the types of job descriptions that you're targeting, your weaknesses, your strength. We're going to also pair you with a professional certified resume writer to redo entirely your resume up from scratch. And then if you are a creative, we'll do the same thing with an industry professional to basically take a look at your portfolio and redo it as well, and make sure that it actually looks flawless. If you are not a creative, we'll pair you with somebody in your industry to discuss about the different career paths. And then after that, you'll be selecting your companies. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And we'll do also a lot of coaching on your soft skills. So for example, how to build up your online brand, how to build up your network, how to write business emails. And then we'll do also coaching on like how to excel at your internship based on a bunch of little trainings that we've put together. And finally, we'll be reviewing your internship journey together. So basically, you'll see how it looks like. It's a bunch of different missions that you'll go one by one, and kind of like with different assignments, with different coaching sessions, with career advisors. So we made something that's pretty cool, and that's easy to follow, but that's an entire coaching curriculum. So it's almost like a course credit, really. So that was just because I wanted to show you guys basically what the coaching looks like. Now, once we have refined your materials, that's when we're gonna start reaching out to employers. So usually at that step, we're gonna send you a list of companies. Let's say you wanna do a design internship. We're gonna be sending you creative agencies, maybe some like fashion or entertainment, or production or arts organization that are looking for in-house design interns. And you're gonna make your research about the companies that we're sending you. For example, Spring might be one of them, right? Because they're looking for designers. And you're gonna send us the list in order of preference, basically the ones you want us to reach out first. And then we're gonna go ahead and contact the employer. So for example, we'd be contacting Olivier, probably his HR department, not him, because we have obviously the connections, and we would push your profile and hear their feedback. And we'll do that until we find basically somebody that's willing to interview you, a company that's willing to interview you. And as soon as we set you guys up for an interview, we'll do an entire job interview prep, including a mock interview. So the internship is guaranteed through our program. That's the good part of it. So we'll do that one time. If it works out very smoothly, 10 times, 15 times if we need to, until we secure an opportunity. Let me show you some like just companies that we're working with right now that are like, for spring and summer. So for example, Chimney, well, obviously we saw Spring Studios, right? So Chimney Group is another one of them. That's like an amazing production company. They actually are working across entertainment, across advertising. So they're looking for a lot of like VFX people, marketing, social media, design, technical sound editing. I saw a question earlier about that. For example, we work with Reflex Group. Yosel will tell you a little bit more about that. Really cool boutique agency that's working with companies like YSL, MAC Cosmetics, Adidas. So they're like a luxury, fashion, beauty type of agency, but it's a small agency, so you get a super hands-on experience. Other example of one of our partners, High Beast, in New York and in Hong Kong as well, who will be looking for sometimes for photo interns, or maybe sometimes they would be looking for digital marketing or brand partnership interns. Another example, Cadence Image, who's like a production company. They are working with like the best kind of directors to do both image and film for advertising and fashion brands. So that's a really cool company that we work with as well. And then a last example of the moving picture company, which is kind of like a production, post-production company that's actually a really big one, who's organizing everything regarding visual effects, but also animation, 2D, 3D, all those types of technical fields. So I just wanted to show you basically a few of the companies, just examples, and we have more and we can talk to you guys about that. So once the internship is confirmed, if you guys are thinking of doing your internship abroad, then we'll be handling visa, housing, insurance, airport pickup, like we'll kind of take care of all of it. And I can address questions about that if you guys have them. And then the final step of the program is basically all the events and the networking opportunities that we offer. I think a lot of our alumni are here and they will be able to testify that we do a lot for our community. We organize webinars, we send them job lists every month. And I'll show you guys really quickly kind of what our platform looks like. We have an app right now. This is the desktop version, but basically you'll see here that we have all of our members, people are able to basically post things, about what they want to talk about. Maybe it's talking about mood boards. This is our spring event, for example, for our alumni. People are sharing different types of events. You can also see all of our members here and you can talk to them and basically see who they are. Basically you can send them chats and review their portfolios and see their LinkedIn. We have different types of groups as well for each of our locations, Hong Kong, Sydney, Melbourne, New York, so you can see who's part of the crew. We have different topics as well that we talk about. So if you click on design, you're going to be able to see all of the members that are also in the design field and interested in the design field, and you can chat with them. And then this is also where we have all of our events basically that are organized and our webinars. So it's kind of our own social media, Facebook / Eventbrite, however you call it, that we have, and that we've built through the program. So basically, let me talk also about the financials because that's a very important thing. So the program has a tuition. It's kind of like the same than a course credit in a US school. For our local and virtual program, it's 1950 USD, okay? And that includes everything from the guaranteed internship placement, all the work that we do on the back and forth with the recruiters, the personalized coaching, which is about 50 hours of work on your end in terms of coaching curriculum with coaching sessions, a lot of assignments on your end, and then some coaching sessions throughout and training. And then of course, all the networking, the events that comes during your internship, before and also after, even when you're done. If you're thinking of doing the international program, guys, make sure to budget that because first of all, that's more expensive. It's $1,000 more in terms of our program fee. The reason why is because there's a travel support element that's added. So we have a lot of paperwork to handle. So it's a lot more work for us. But on top of that, you need to also calculate like your flights, your housing, your insurance. So it's a big budget to kind of look into. Talk to us about that if you want to get on a call with us and review the budget with us, because it's not as simple as like the local program where it's kind of like, you know, a course credit fee and then it's done. It's expenses that are going to come in. We also have scholarships that we offer. So on top of potentially scholarships that you might get from your schools, by the way, so look into that as well. So we have inclusive scholarships that are up to 250 USD, ambassador scholarships that are actually up to $1,000. And if you get our ambassador scholarship, you would have to become an ambassador of the program. So that means like helping us create content, like helping us facilitate relationships with your school. And then finally, we have a creative diversity scholarship scheme, which is pretty cool. It gives you actually, and it's a bit more selective. We don't have a lot of funding to like give too many, but we have about 10 or so a year. So for those scholarship schemes, you would get full tuition. So basically full scholarship on the tuition, plus you would get a guaranteed paid internship above minimum wage, which is a cool aspect because for our program, normally, as much as we want to, we can guarantee that the internship will be paid because it's going to depend on which company you're placed with. And because of the fact, you know, we don't overpromise and underdeliver, and we are very careful about managing everyone's expectations. We always say, budget hasn't paid, even if it means that you do it part-time and you get a part-time gig, because we can't guarantee that it would be paid and it would depend on who you're placed with, basically. So that's a little bit more about the program. I don't want to like overwhelm you with everything. Take a look at our testimonials as well. We have a lot of stuff there. Of course, I'm going to tell you it's a good program. I'm totally biased, but maybe let's talk to our like former participants, because I know we have only 10 minutes with some of them. Let me stop sharing my screen here and let me put the spotlight here on Yosel. Yosel, can I add you as a spotlight? Let me see if I can put you as a spotlight. And then I think Michaela, are you here too? Let me check if Michaela is there. Let me put Yosel. Hey, Yosel.
Hi, everyone.
So Yosel, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your experience as well with the program before we like start opening up to a Q&A and kind of like maybe what were the main benefits for you in terms of what happened during that program?
Sure. So first of all, thanks, Laura and the ABI team for inviting me to this session. Just to start off, I did my internship starting June 2020. So very much in the middle of COVID, like weird phase where everyone's moving online. And so it was very confusing at first, but luckily it never got canceled. So thank you, ABI, for never canceling the internship. I started in June 2020 with Reflex Group that Laura mentioned earlier. It's a very cool boutique creative agency that focuses mostly on fashion, luxury, beauty, and lifestyle brands. So I was already excited from the get-go. It's kind of a funny story because before I got connected to Reflex, I actually had an interview with Spring, and I was very like, ABI prepared me pretty good for that interview, but it didn't really work out. So
the strategy one, right?
Right, the strategy one, it didn't really work out. So it's good to remember that you're going to go through a lot of interviews before you find the right fit. So after that, I got connected to Reflex and it just went really well. I got the internship. It started virtually at first because of COVID. So that was one of the main benefits. Also, I would say is learning how to work virtually.
Right.
Also like having just graduated in May and like not being able to go to an office and stuff, it was good to know, good to get that experience. And then ended up interning with the company, very close-knit group, very internationally experienced. I got my first ever hands-on experience working in such a creative city like New York. Getting connected to all these industry leaders was really helpful because it helped me build what I wanted to do in life. And then I was lucky enough for my internship to get extended. So I requested them to extend my internship, and I got my internship extended. One thing to note, the internship was not paid, but I definitely gained some other benefits in terms of experience and all of that. And they still helped cover like transportation and stuff like that. So they're going to look out for you, even though Reflex, I feel like they don't really pay most of their interns, but there's always a chance to get hired, which I know they've hired a lot of ABI participants.
That's
So
right.
that's a very good, important aspect about Reflex. So yeah, I worked with them, amazing team. I feel like everything went very well. Some of the highlights from that internship was definitely working for the commercial photo shoot for two skincare brands. The first one was Lancer Skincare based in California, luxury skincare brand that I'm sure many of you have heard about. And then the second one was doing the launch commercial photo shoot for a French beauty brand, Mademoiselle Provence. So I really did get experience in spite of getting this internship in the midst of a pandemic. I was still able to go into the office, do the hybrid model, go to commercial photo shoot locations and make connections. Mainly, I would say I got to work with Christian Blanchard, who is one of a pretty big photographer in the creative industry. And it was just really fun to, meet these people and to feel like you are also worth the type of work that they are doing.
Yeah.
So that was my whole thing with Reflex, and it went really well. I am still connected to a lot of the former employees and the former interns, and I feel like I can always tap back into those connections if I ever need like recommendation letters or like all of that stuff. So that was Reflex.
Actually,
And
one quick question. Is this the first time you meet Michaela? Because I know you guys were talking a lot on like social media and IG, and I was wondering
yes,
that
I
is
was
the
about
first
to say,
time.
yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing Michaela on screen. We definitely interact a lot on social media, and it's nice to see her on here.
It's a big, yeah,
So
it's
hi.
really true. Yosel, let me get also to Michaela real quick because I know she has to go to, we can stay afterwards and hang out and come back to you, but I know she has a class that's starting like on the dot in like 4 minutes. So Michaela actually did also an internship. I think Michaela, your internship was paid, right? With Warp Records, and it was virtual on your end. You actually stayed back home and you interned there because it was also during the pandemic. So tell us a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Maryland, but I'm currently in Washington right now for school, and I was able to do an internship with Warp Records in Brooklyn, New York. The process started last year, so it was actually supposed to happen last summer, but of course COVID happened, and unfortunately we couldn't do it. Originally it was unpaid, but with some strings that they pulled, they created a new position for me as a digital marketing intern, and I was able to be paid. I was working this summer during that, and I was making sure that, everything was taken care of on the artist end as far as like marketing and doing digital research as far as like all the data to kind of build streams and making sure that the artist gets promoted properly. Some of the artists that we do work with is some people like Kalela, Danny Brown. Some of you may know East Tumor, things like that. So we were working really closely with these artists to ensure that their new releases were happening. Some really cool things that we did on a daily basis. We did have weekly meetings with the team, and the team is based in London, LA, and in New York. The London office is like the main headquarters. That's where Warp started. But we were able to kind of listen in on new albums and figure out what needs to be done marketing wise. I mainly worked on the research aspect and developing strategies for Spotify and TikTok and Instagram, and also creating fact sheets, things of that nature, really looking deeply into the work that goes into building a brand for an artist. And I definitely have a lot of connections now with the people that work there. They even offered me a job if, you know, law school doesn't work out. I do plan to go to law school, but they said that once I move to New York, if there's ever a situation where I do need a job, that I do have a job with Warp Records. I'm still in communication with everybody. And they're setting up a lot of different meetings with me for like actual entertainment lawyers. So I really feel like this opportunity helped me out a lot.
That's amazing. And I feel like both for you and Yosel, you know, you guys like build up a lot of connections throughout and we're able to like leverage that, right? Because that's the whole concept of an internship. And that's where the investment is coming in, is like those connections that you're going to be able to utilize now that you both have connects in the creative fields, like you, Michaela, more in music, Yosel on the creative side of things, creative agencies, advertising. There's always a way to kind of utilize those connects to get other jobs, right? That's kind of the goal. So I guess, guys, let's open it up to questions. Kanya, I know that there's been a lot of questions that's been asked. If you don't mind, I'm gonna also add you as a spotlight here. And I'd love for you, like, if you guys have questions, Michaela, I know do you need to jump up right now just to kind of know?
I have about 10 minutes. Like my class starts at like 10:10, but I have to, yeah.
Perfect. So then if you guys have questions for Yosel and Michaela as well, like feel free to ask them right now in the chat or about the program. Kenya, was there some questions that you've seen that you feel like were highlighted and that you want me to kind of run through before we wrap this up? We'll give it 10 more minutes, guys, for this event, and then afterwards we'll let you guys go back, and obviously you can contact us with more questions if you have.
Yeah, actually, most of the questions have already been addressed by Ina, but I think some of the occurring like similar questions was that whether they have to be a student or a recent graduate to participate in the program.
Yeah, okay, so you can be both a student or a recent grad for the program. It's going to depend where you want to do it, guys. So if you want to do it locally, for example, Yosel, Michaela, both of them did the program here, but we've got, like, for example, I know I'm seeing here some of our previous participants, Shay, for example, who is from Bangkok and who came to New York. Like, there are some visa requirements if you're coming in from abroad to NYC or to other places where you have to be either a student or a fresh grad for less than 12 months. So it's all going to depend where you want to go. But if it's local, then there's no problem. You can be student or fresh grad. Any other questions, Kenya?
Sorry, I'm just browsing through. There's one question here that says, for abroad internships, which countries outside of the US do you work in?
So we've got Australia, Melbourne, Sydney, Germany, Berlin, and Hong Kong. Those are the places that we get outside of the US. I see here also just a question from Niels that's saying, like, and I think that's for Yosel and Michaela actually. Like, they were asking both of you, like, was this the first professional position that you guys had coming out of college and university? Maybe Yosel, you want to start?
So yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, I would say definitely was one of the first professional positions that I had. But also I want to touch a little bit about what happened after Reflex. So after Reflex, my internship, I ended up getting another connection through ABI that I would consider that more of a profession. I mean, Reflex was definitely a professional, the first one, but I was still like intern, like, like very much like that intern label was on me. But then when I got connected to Mojo Supermarket, the very groundbreaking creative agency that everyone should check out, that was my first like freelance creative manager position, and like that was really amazing. So yeah, ABI really helped me get to that point.
How about you, Michaela? Thank you for putting your email, by the way, Michaela, here. If people want to contact like Michaela as well via email and get connected, you guys can do that. So Michaela, was that your first kind of professional experience in the creative field?
Yes, so I'm currently a senior in college right now, and this was definitely my first experience in the creative or entertainment industry. As like professionally, I've definitely done stuff in the creative fields before, but this was my first professional experience.
So the first is always the hardest.
It definitely is.
It's always getting that first one that's super difficult. Once you start having something on your resume that feels a bit more related, and I know that's something that a lot of the students talk to us about, and the fear of like the imposter syndrome, which is real. It happens to all of us as you start. It's like, I have 0 things on my resume to relate to the position that I'm applying for. And it's very difficult because I know that a lot of the internship positions, the junior positions is like, oh, this is a junior, an internship, but we want 1 year of experience. So we want you to have previous experience in an agency. So it's very difficult to kind of make that. And I think what we do a lot with the program is work on that imposter syndrome, to talk about how do you angle your materials? How do you position yourself to like, okay, you did not have an experience, but you've had an experience in this and in that, and this is how it's transferable to that position. So I think it's all a matter of strategy, and that's something that we support you guys, because we know it's really not an easy thing to do, and I've been through it too, and I remember the struggle. So Kenya, any other questions or highlighted questions that kind of came up during the Q&A? Maybe we'll take 2 more, and then I think we'll wrap it up, guys, because we're already bleeding a little bit towards the end of the program.
Yes, so maybe could you elaborate on whether the students need to submit any portfolio to apply for the program?
That's a great question. So I think Yosel, Michaela, you both didn't submit portfolios because you're both more on the business side of like the creative areas, right? Yosel, you submitted something? I don't think so, right?
No, but I ended up making one.
I know we made you, we worked on that together, and you build out a creative portfolio. So bottom line is, you need a portfolio if you're a designer, if you're a filmmaker, if you're a VFX artist. If you're a creative and you intend to work in something that's either creative or technical, we definitely need to see a portfolio. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be like, you know, a couple projects, but we need to understand and see what your potential is. We're gonna work on that with you, and we're gonna make that to the next level. Yourself, for example, started the program with no portfolio. At the end of it, he had a killer, actually, I love your portfolio, Yourself. I sent it. You should send it here if you can in the chat, but I think it's a PDF, right? He built a killer strategy portfolio, like showcasing what he worked on. So if you're creative, yes, we need a portfolio. If you are a marketing, comm, PR, social media, business type of person and wants to do those types of internships, then you don't need a portfolio. You can just submit like your resume. It's enough for us.
Perfect.
Everybody wants to see your link, Yosel. If you have a link to it yourself, send it to us so we can like we can share it here. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
sure.
go ahead, Kenya.
So sorry, there's one more question from Lily asking, I'm a freshman and I want to apply for the summer 2022 internship. Can I apply now with my resume and portfolio?
So that's a great question, Lily. So unfortunately, we don't take freshmen. It's very rare. Actually, we have a freshman here, Audrey, who was like one of our, I don't know if she's still on this, but she's one of our previous participants. We rarely take freshmen because it's a little bit difficult. The companies that we work with, even when they're small, they're still super fast-paced, cutthroat type of companies that are requiring to jump, you know, right in. So usually we take, you know, second year onwards. So Lily, what my recommendation to you is like, now that you know about the program, start building up a little bit like your portfolio, start focusing on putting together your application, and then apply to us like as soon as you hit your second year. Even you can be the fall semester of your second year. That's already going to be easier for us to sell your application, because don't forget that we need to place you and we need to guarantee an internship placement for you. So it's a little bit harder for us to do that in your first year. So second year onwards. All right, guys. So I know that there was a lot of other questions and a bunch of you were answered. So feel free to, you know, reach out to us for the spring semester. Don't forget the deadline is on October 25th. If you're thinking of doing something for the spring. Summer, if you're thinking of doing it, contact us ASAP so we can tell you when, based on if you want to do it locally or internationally. It's going to be, again, quite competitive for the summer. It's our busiest season, and we're not a massive program, so we only take a certain amount of people per year. So just know that as you're submitting your application, the earliest, the better, because we are on a rolling admission process. Yosel, Michaela, thank you so much for coming through and for joining this session. And you guys are such inspirations always for us to see, and really appreciate your time. Thank you all for joining this, you know, event. I hope that it was useful, and we'll go ahead and circle back with all of you via email with more information about Spring Studios, more information about the program, Ina, who's right there, maybe Ina can do this so that people can see her, left also a call link here. If you guys want to book a call with us, you can do that so that you can talk specifically. You'll talk to Ina about what you want to do and if that's possible and if we can offer that. And you can ask all the questions about like scholarships, visas, everything. Ina knows it all. She's like been through it herself, and she also did our program back in the days. So thank you all for joining. Hope this was useful, and stay tuned with us. We're going to do more events like that with more professionals coming in and talking about their businesses. And stay safe, you all. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. See you all. Thank you for coming. Bye, guys.